Interesting thought process.
That's a great question. Oh, that's really hard. Oh my God, I didn't realize it was going to be like this.
Wow, that's a good question.
Another good but difficult question.
Welcome to Casual Conversations with your host, Mike Oppenheim.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Casual Conversations. This is the bonus podcast for premium subscribers. You are the best. I love you. Thank you so much for signing up and being a part of the team. This month I recorded something for 25 minutes on a walk with my dog, and it was a solo podcast, and I was really excited, but you could hear the jingling of her leash and her little like tags, which was like really annoying, even to me. And I'm not an audiophile, so I was like, I can't do this to people who pay me money and love helping and supporting me. So instead, I decided to take the theme of that podcast and throw it on my brother, who's here with us live. Sam, how are you?
Hi. It's good to be on the pod again. I love speaking to your subscribers.
Yeah, you're my favorite guest to have for this format because I feel very comfortable and natural talking to you, and I feel like we actually say things that might be... I don't know, just more interesting because I'm comfortable around you and you're comfortable with me, which is actually precisely what I want to get into today. So I'm not even going to delay it. I'm just going to throw it on you. The subject for today's podcast, which you have no idea about because we just literally texted and I said, I'm calling you in 5 minutes, is I want to talk to you about my 2024 New Year's resolution. Have you listened closely? Because I've kind of hinted at it in 3 different podcasts that you've actually listened to. Can you guess?
No, I can't. Sorry.
That's okay. I've never said it because I don't make New Year's goals. I'm not like that. I make goals. I just don't make them around New Year's. But I did, because of things in December and the way my life was headed, I decided in January to start something new. And what that is I'm trying not to argue. And the person who I argue with the most, because I live with her, would be my wife. But the person I argue with the most overall would be you.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you include when we lived together for 16 years, because I'm 2 years younger than you. And the what I want to talk about, though, is not disagreeing with people, and it's not like having opinions, and it's not like talking to someone.
I won't disagree with you right now.
But what I want to talk to you is about the word argue and how I'm using it. And the way I'm using it is talking about things with someone in an attempt to persuade them, which is different from talking to someone about something. So arguing to me is when you're trying to persuade the person. And that's why I want to stop, is because I realize that that's a really bad use of my time, and it creates stress for me and the person I'm arguing with. So first of all, you have to accept my definition for this podcast to work. But with that definition, do you see a problem with arguing?
So, sure. I mean, it tends to be more trouble than it's worth and highly ineffective to argue, either to try to change someone's mind and or to yell and scream and lose your temper, which is another definition of arguing.
Okay, but before you get into that, because I want to make this very specific with people, that is not a New Year's goal. That's not a goal. That's just something I was like already trying to do in life. I am specifically tailoring it to the following definition from the internet. It's to give reasons or cite evidence in support of an idea, action, or theory, typically with the aim of persuading others to share your view. Okay?
Right.
So I just want to talk about that one. And I don't mind that you said the second definition, which is to express diverging opposite views, typically in a heated or angry way. That is definitely usually what happens after the first, but not always. But I want to actually stop the first. So.
Got it. Yeah, and just as a side note, I always think about things from the frame of reference in which I'm in, which is that today is a work day, and I just finished learning about being a better teacher. And actually engaging students in arguments is part of how we get them to learn. And in education, it's actually a good thing to teach kids to like write an essay, construct an argument, and try to convince the reader. So it's interesting that you want to stop doing it. And I understand why, but I'm just pointing out that there are other situations in which it's actually useful.
I totally agree. And I think that in a profession like teaching, and especially in a profession like teaching critical thinking or philosophy or writing even, you do have to teach how to argue. And arguing is not bad because, for example, if my wife came home and said, I think you've been cheating on me and I have not been cheating on her, I would need to argue. Like I would need to persuade her to share my view. So my New Year's resolution is really, really focused on, and this is why I wanted to do it with you. No offense, and total offense, please take some. You and I come from a strong line of arguers, and it's not pleasant for people. Like we've been told this before. People come out to dinner with like you and me and our father, not my mother, And some of them really don't like it. They don't like the way we talk.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like, for example, if I had your wife on the podcast, would she say, yeah, I wish Sam would argue a little less?
Yes. And I think it would be both raising my voice, which is something that she always says,
Yeah.
you know, I would be better suited at parenting and getting what I want if I was more balanced in the way I tried to achieve it without yelling and getting upset.
So, but let's work in reverse, because the reason I wanted to have you on the podcast is, first of all, I wanted to out us as people who argue and like to argue. I'm just going to be very honest with my audience. I like arguing. I enjoy it. But what I don't like is sensing that someone feels bad after the fact, or especially when a few hours later I just get this like negative Nelly conscious voice that says, hey, you know what? You might have gone a little too far there. Like, why were you even trying to persuade them about that? Like, you don't really care if Rome is a good place to visit on vacation. You just went there once, and then you started like trying to persuade someone that it's not the best city in Italy. Like, why did you do that? Does that gel with you, Sam?
Sort of, but I mean, the thing is that you just said you enjoyed arguing.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy hearing other people argue in which you don't have a stake? Like, you listen to comedy podcasts. Sometimes you listen to podcasts where people argue, I assume.
Yeah, I love it. I love listening to people argue, as long as they're not heated. I want to make that very, again, for everyone listening, because we're going to save time for the rest of this podcast, there's definition 1 and definition 2. Definition 2, universally, no one likes it. Like when you yell, raise your voice, blah, blah, blah. Maybe people watching like a presidential debate who are like really into one candidate might like that, but most of us do not like that.
Right. So, I mean, your idea of arguing, not trying to argue, is only a good thing if the people around you want it also.
Hey everyone, that's it for the free version of this podcast. If you want to hear the full one, just head over to mikeyop.com and become a premium subscriber. That's MIKEYOPP.com. Thanks for listening.